Loyalty is one of those things you can't fake. It's something that either lives inside a person or it don't. You can't teach it, you can't buy it, and you can't talk it into existence. It's proven in moments when no one's watching, when the truth shows up without a filter. And when somebody betrays that, it don't matter how much history you got, how much love you shared, or how many good memories you can name. Once loyalty is gone, everything built on it starts to crumble. See, in a relationship, loyalty is that silent promise. It's what keeps two souls connected when things get rough. It's that understanding that I got you no matter what. But once a woman steps out of that and chooses betrayal, she's not just breaking your heart, she's breaking the code. That code that holds everything real together. Because loyalty isn't about perfection, it's about commitment. It's about saying, even when it's hard, I'm still here for us. When she betrays you, it's more than an act. It's a statement. It says she didn't value your trust, your energy, your time. It says she didn't believe your love was enough to stay solid. And that cuts deep, because a man who moves with loyalty always expects the same in return. That's how real ones think. They stand on what they say and they give their word the same weight as their heart. So when that's betrayed, you feel it in your spirit. It don't just hurt, it changes you. You start questioning yourself. You start wondering if you missed the signs, if you love too hard, if you get too much. But the truth is, betrayal don't reflect on the one who stayed loyal. It exposes the one who couldn't handle realness. A woman who can betray a man that was solid with her, she didn't just lose him, she lost something bigger. She lost access to a kind of love that don't come twice. Loyalty is heavy because it demands consistency. It means you don't flip your energy when life gets tough. It means you don't run to someone else when you're mad. It means you protect your partner's name even when they're not around. So when betrayal enters the picture, that bond you thought was forever, it starts to feel like a lie. Every I love you turns into an echo, every memory becomes a question mark, and no matter how much you try to rebuild, it's never the same. Once trust is broken, love becomes work. You start calculating words, second-guessing intentions, replaying conversations in your head like they got hidden meanings. That's not love anymore, that's survival, and a man shouldn't have to survive the person he loves. The cold part is, sometimes the betrayal don't come loud, it comes quiet. It comes in small lies, half-truths, emotional cheating, energy shifts, until one day you realize the person next to you been gone for a while. And when you finally face it, that's when you learn loyalty ain't just about staying, it's about staying true. See, when you're loyal, you give a piece of your peace to someone. You share your dreams, your fears, your weaknesses. You open yourself up and say, I'll trust you with this. That's sacred. So when that trust gets broken, you can't just forgive it like it's small. Because forgiving it too easy means you don't respect your own boundaries. You don't protect your own heart. You can wish them well, you can move on without hate, but you can't keep them in your circle. Because once someone shows they can betray you, you can't unsee that. You can't rebuild something on broken bricks, and trying to act like it never happened only delays your healing. Betrayal changes how you move. It teaches you to value silence over promises. It reminds you to stop confusing potential with loyalty. It makes you sharper, wiser, more protective of your energy, and it shows you the same love that made you vulnerable can also make you powerful once you learn to channel it into yourself. Because the real ones, they don't stay broken. They evolve. They take that pain and turn it into purpose. They stop begging for loyalty and start demanding it by how they live. You don't have to argue your worth. You just walk away from anything that can't match your energy. At the end of the day, loyalty is love in its purest form. And once that's betrayed, forgiveness might bring peace, but distance brings growth. Never let someone back in who showed you how easy it was to lose you. Protect your loyalty like it's gold, because that's what separates the real from the rest. Disrespect cuts deeper than people realize. That it's not just about words, it's about energy. It's about how somebody moves around you when they think you'll tolerate anything. Disrespect don't always come in arguments or loud moments. Sometimes it's quiet, subtle, layered in jokes, tone, or silence. It's when she starts talking to you different, treating you like your presence don't matter, like your time and your effort ain't worth the same as hers. That's the kind of energy that starts small but eats away at you over time. When a woman stops respecting you, she stops seeing you as a man with purpose. She starts seeing you as an option, not a priority. And once she reaches that point, everything shifts. The tone, the effort, the consistency, it all starts to fade. Disrespect is dangerous because it don't happen all at once. It creeps in little by little, and by the time you notice, you've already lost your peace.
Devaluation comes right after disrespect. That's when she stops appreciating the things you do, stops acknowledging the work you put in, and starts acting like your presence don't hold weight. You can be giving everything, your time, your support, your loyalty, but if she don't value it, it feels like you're pouring into an empty cup. That's when you start to feel drained, because energy that isn't respected turns toxic.
A man who's building something, whether it's a dream, a legacy, or just a better version of himself, can't afford to be in a space where he's constantly being disrespected or undervalued. That kind of environment kills focus. It makes you question your worth, and that's dangerous because once you start doubting yourself, everything else around you starts to fall apart. That's why you got to recognize the signs early. When she starts belittling your vision, laughing at your goals, or comparing you to other men, that's not love, that's ego. A woman who truly respects you will speak life into your dreams, not make you feel small for chasing them. But when she devalues what you stand for, she's telling you she don't believe in what you're becoming. And you can't build a future with someone who don't see your potential. Real love requires admiration. You got to be able to look at each other and see something worth protecting. Once that admiration fades, the love turns into competition or control. She starts testing your patience, pushing your limits, seeing how far she can go before you react. That's not partnership, that's power struggle. And every time you forgive that kind of disrespect, you're teaching her how to treat you. See, a man who allows disrespect slowly loses himself. He starts changing how he moves, walking on eggshells, avoiding arguments, trying to prove he's enough. But no matter how much you give, you can't earn respect from someone who already decided not to value you. Respect is either there or it ain't. And if you gotta fight for it, that means it was never real to begin with. Sometimes she'll disguise her disrespect as honesty. She'll say she's just being real, when in truth, she's tearing you down under the mask of truth. That's emotional manipulation. And once you start accepting it, you become part of your own downfall. You can't grow in soil that don't nourish you. The toughest part is when love blinds you. You start thinking, she's just hurt or she didn't mean it. But you gotta remember, consistent disrespect is a choice. Nobody accidentally keeps crossing the same line. When someone values you, they protect your name, your peace, your energy. They don't destroy it. You can't keep forgiving disrespect and expect peace to follow. You can't build love on ground that's covered in resentment. The real power is knowing when to walk away. Because leaving don't mean you stop caring, it means you started caring about yourself. A man who knows his worth don't beg to be respected. He moves in a way that demands it. His silence speaks louder than his defense. You don't have to shout to prove your value. Your energy already does that. When a woman realizes she can't shake your peace, that's when she understands who she lost. Respect is more than love. It's what keeps love alive. Because when respect leaves the room, love turns into obligation. It becomes something you maintain out of habit, not passion. And that's not living, that's settling. You deserve someone who sees the weight of your presence, who appreciates your grind, your growth, your patience, someone who speaks to you with intention, not irritation. If she can't see your value, stop trying to convince her, let distance be the teacher. Because once a woman realizes she disrespected a man who only wanted to love her right, that regret becomes her lesson. Never let someone make you feel small in the space you helped build. Protect your peace, protect your pride, and protect your value. The moment you let disrespect slide, you give permission for it to continue. Walk away with grace, not anger, because silence from a man who knows his worth is louder than any argument could ever be. Emotional manipulation is one of the coldest games someone can play. It don't leave scars you can see, but it cuts the deepest. It's when somebody starts using your feelings against you, twisting your love into guilt, making you question your reality. They'll make you feel like you're the problem, even when you've been the one trying to hold everything together. That's the kind of energy that drains a man's soul because it's invisible. And by the time you notice it, you've already lost pieces of yourself.
It starts subtle. She might guilt trip you for not doing enough, even when you've given everything. She'll flip situations to make herself the victim, so you end up apologizing for things you didn't even do. You start questioning your own peace, wondering if maybe you are the one at fault. That's how manipulation works. It's quiet control. It don't need to yell to dominate you. It just shifts your mindset until you start doubting your truth.
When a woman learns your emotions, she learns your weaknesses. She knows what words cut deep, what silence makes you uneasy, and what memories she can use to pull you back in. That's why emotional manipulation is so dangerous. It looks like love. It sounds like care, but it's built on control. It's not about understanding your pain. It's about using it to get what she wants. A man who moves with loyalty and heart will always be a target for manipulation if he don't guard his peace. Because when you lead with love, you see the best in people, even when they're showing you the worst. You make excuses for their behavior. You say she's just hurt or she didn't mean it like that. But the truth is, every time you excuse manipulation, you teach her that she can bend your boundaries without consequence. That's how you lose yourself in someone else's emotions. You start reacting to their moods, their silence, their guilt trips, until your whole day revolves around how they feel. You stop being yourself just to keep the peace, but that ain't peace, that's captivity. Because when you gotta sacrifice your own happiness to keep someone else calm, you're not in love, you're in a trap. See, emotional manipulation ain't about connection, it's about control. It's when love becomes a transaction. I'll give you affection if you do this, or I'll be distant until you chase me. It's when she turns communication into punishment. One day she's warm and loving, the next day she's cold and distant, just to keep you uncertain. And that uncertainty becomes addiction. You start chasing her approval like it's oxygen. You start mistaking chaos for passion. But love ain't supposed to feel like confusion. Real love brings clarity, not anxiety. It gives you peace, not pressure. If being with her feels like walking on glass, if every conversation feels like a test, that's not love, that's manipulation wrapped in affection. A man who's focused, disciplined, and driven can't afford to let that energy live in his space. Because manipulation don't just mess with your heart, it disturbs your purpose. It makes you lose focus on your mission. You'll find yourself fighting battles you were never meant to fight, defending yourself against lies that were never true. That's what emotional control does. It distracts kings from their crown. The hardest part is realizing that sometimes the person who claims to love you the most can also be the one draining you the most. That realization hurts because it shatters the illusion. You start to see that what you thought was love was really dependency. You weren't loved for who you are, you were needed for what you give. And once you stop feeding that, the truth comes out. The only way to beat manipulation is to choose distance over explanation. You can't argue with someone who twists every truth you speak. You can't heal in the same place that broke your spirit. You gotta step back and remember who you were before the confusion. Because once you get your peace back, you start to see how much of yourself you lost trying to prove your loyalty to someone who never earned it. Forgiving manipulation doesn't mean letting it continue. Forgiveness is closure, not permission. You can forgive her, but you still gotta walk away. Because every time you let manipulation slide, it comes back stronger. You don't fix people by shrinking yourself for them. You fix your life by protecting your energy. At the end of the day, your peace is your power. Don't trade it for anyone's comfort. The moment you feel like you gotta chase love, beg for clarity, or apologize just to keep someone happy, that's the moment you need to stop and remember your worth. You were not built to be someone's emotional punching bag. You were built to lead, to love real, to move with intention. So when someone plays with your emotions, don't match their energy. Rise above it. Because real strength ain't in reacting, it's in walking away with your peace intact. Love should lift you, not drain you. And when you finally realize that, you stop letting manipulation control your story and start writing it on your own terms. Public disrespect is one of those things that hits different. It's not just about what's said, it's about how it makes you feel when the world sees it. When someone you trusted, someone you gave your heart to, decides to make a scene, make you small in front of others, that cuts deep. Because it ain't just embarrassment, it's betrayal in front of an audience. It's her showing you and everybody watching that she don't value your presence. See, love is supposed to be protection. It's supposed to be a space where you can be safe, where your name gets defended even when you're not around. When a woman disrespects you publicly, through words, through actions, through attitude, she's telling the world she stopped protecting that space. She's showing everybody she don't care about the image of the man who's been standing beside her. And once she crosses that line, it's hard to ever look at her the same. Disrespect in private hurts, but disrespect in public humiliates. Because now, it ain't just between you and her, now it's between you, her, and whoever was watching. And the worst part, once she makes you look weak in public, she don't realize she also makes herself look lost. A real woman knows how to correct a man without exposing him, knows how to disagree without disrespect, knows that silence in public and conversation in private keeps the bond sacred. When a woman embarrasses you, in front of others, whether it's arguing in public, posting subliminals online, laughing at your struggles, or airing your personal business, she's not just attacking you, she's destroying the foundation of respect. Because once the world sees her disrespect you, they start to think it's okay too. That's how a man loses authority over his own space, not because of outsiders, but because someone inside his circle opened the door for it. And the thing about public disrespect is it don't stop at words. Sometimes it's the little things, the eye rolls when you speak, the tone she uses when people are around, the way she laughs at you instead of with you. That's how it starts. It's not always loud. Sometimes it's quiet, but it's consistent. And each time it chips away at your confidence a little more. Before you know it, you start second guessing yourself just to avoid another scene. It's not love. That's control through humiliation. A man's pride ain't about ego. It's about self-respect. When you worked hard, built your vision, carried yourself with integrity, the last thing you need is someone tearing that down in front of others. You shouldn't have to explain or defend yourself to someone who already knows your worth. But when a woman publicly disrespects you, she's showing that she never understood what she had, because real love protects in public even when it's frustrated in private. The truth is, embarrassment kills intimacy. Once a woman disrespects you like that, you stop feeling safe with her. You stop opening up. You stop pulling back because you don't trust her with your emotions anymore. You can't love deeply when you're constantly guarding yourself from humiliation. That's why so many relationships die quietly after moments like that, because respect, once lost, rarely comes back. It's not about being perfect or never arguing. Every couple goes through moments, but there's a line that should never be crossed. If she truly loves you, she'll protect your dignity like it's her own. She'll know that how she speaks, space you, how she treats you in front of others reflects not just on you, but on her character too. A real one knows how to handle disagreements without turning love into a public spectacle. When a woman disrespects you publicly and you stay, you're teaching her that your dignity is negotiable. You're telling her that she can play with your image and still have access to your peace. But a man who knows his worth will never allow that, because silence after public disrespect is not weakness. It's awareness. You don't argue, you don't beg, you don't explain, you just distance yourself. You let your absence speak where your words can't. The hardest part about walking away from someone who embarrassed you is realizing that your silence is the only way to get your power back. Once you respond, you feed the same energy that tried to humiliate you. But when you step back, when you move with grace and let the world see that you won't entertain disrespect, that's when you regain control. That's when your peace becomes your statement. Respect should never be conditional. You don't earn it through mistakes or lose it through emotion. It's a standard. And once someone breaks it in front of others, forgiveness might come, but the bond won't ever be the same. Because love without respect is survival, and no man should have to survive the person he chose to love. So protect your name, protect your energy, protect your presence. Don't let anyone use a public moment to make you doubt your worth, because the real ones don't perform love for the crowd. They prove it in private. And once you understand that, you'll stop chasing apologies in public and start demanding respect in silence. Accountability is one of the rarest forms of honesty. It's what separates people who grow from people who repeat. In a relationship, it's the backbone of trust. When two people can look each other in the eye and say, yeah, I messed up, that's real. That's how love matures. But when accountability disappears, when a woman can't own her actions, when every argument turns into blame, when every mistake somehow becomes your fault, that's when the bond starts dying from the inside. It's a heavy thing to deal with because lack of accountability don't always show up loud. It's quiet. It hides behind excuses, emotions, and tears. It shows up when she hurts you and then shifts the story to make herself the victim. It shows up when you try to talk things out, but she deflects, distracts, or flips it back on you. That kind of pattern don't just frustrate you. It breaks you down slowly. It makes you question your reality, like maybe you're overreacting, maybe you're asking for too much, but deep down, you know what's happening. She just refuses to face her reflection. A woman who can't be accountable will never change because she don't believe she's wrong. She's too busy protecting her ego to protect the relationship. And when ego runs the show, love can't breathe. You can't build anything with someone who refuses to take responsibility for their part in the destruction. You can't keep cleaning up messes that weren't yours to make. The truth is, accountability takes strength. It takes maturity. It takes emotional intelligence. To admit fault means you gotta be humble enough to say, I hurt you, without turning it into justification. But when she lacks that, everything turns into a cycle. Argument, guilt, silence, temporary peace, repeat. And every time you forgive without accountability, you make it easier for her to do it again because she learns that all she has to do is cry, apologize halfway, or act like it never happened and you'll take her back. That's not growth. That's manipulation, wearing forgiveness as a mask. A relationship without accountability becomes a loop with no progress. You keep revisiting the same pain dressed in different words. You keep hoping she'll get it, but she won't. Not until she wants to. And some people don't want to grow because growth requires facing themselves. They rather keep blaming others than admit they're the reason the house keeps catching fire. When someone won't own up to their actions, what they're really saying is, my comfort matters more than your peace. They're protecting their pride instead of protecting your bond. And that's dangerous because pride is poison in love. Pride makes people blind to their own damage. It turns love into competition. It makes every conversation about winning instead of understanding. You can't fix someone who keeps running from their own reflection. You can talk, you can explain, you can show patience. But if she's not ready to take accountability, you're just talking to a wall. And over time, that drains you. It makes you emotionally tired because you're fighting for someone who won't even fight themselves. Accountability is what allows healing to happen. Without it, forgiveness has no foundation. You can forgive her, but if she never accepts what she did, that pain stays alive inside you. It keeps replaying in your mind because there's no closure. She might say, let's move on, but you can't move forward when the truth's been buried under excuses. Real healing only comes when the truth gets faced, not avoided. The sad part is, a lack of accountability usually comes from fear. Fear of being wrong, fear of being judged, fear of losing control. But love don't survive in fear. It survives in honesty. It grows in truth. And when you're with someone who refuses to face that truth, you end up carrying the weight of both of you. That's why men start shutting down. Not because they don't care, but because they're tired of being blamed for everything they try to fix. When you love someone who won't be accountable, you gotta make a choice. Do you keep lowering your standards to stay, or do you protect your peace and walk away? Because staying teaches her that her behavior is acceptable. But leaving teaches her what accountability really means, that actions have consequences. Sometimes the lesson only hits when the silence replaces the comfort. At the end of the day, you can't have growth without ownership. You can't have healing without truth. And you can't have love without accountability. Because love that never admits its wrongs ain't love. It's control. It's a cycle that keeps repeating until one person finally says enough. You owe it to yourself to stop accepting apologies without change. You owe it to your peace to stop confusing emotion with accountability. Let your boundaries speak where words fail. Because once you stop arguing for what's obvious and start moving in silence, that's when the lesson becomes real. Accountability separates the ones who love you from the ones who just love what you do for them. And once you see that, you'll never settle for less again.